Efendim merhabalar, hoş geldiniz.
Well, welcome everyone. Good morning. I would like to wish a great day for each and every one of you. I hope today will prove quite auspicious like the days before. And of course our topic is financial technologies. And this is an area where we have significant attainments and achievements. This is quite curious, actually, but Turkey has been delivering an incredible success in this regard. And it's been like the case, it's been like that for years now. I'm going to take you back to the past. I spent 6 years of my life in the United States. And as I was serving the public, the Treasury department had different representative offices overseas. And I was also serving the public institutions from 87 to 89. I was the economy undersecretary, and until 95 I was the senior consultant for economy and trade. And in both positions there were two things that struck my attention. Many things struck my attention, but especially I noticed that the American system was very much lagging behind the Turkish system. It was incredible, and the culture was different as well. But even back then, I'm talking about 80s, I'm talking about 90s, even then, the technology strides in Turkey were incredible, and it was not like that in the United States. And Turkey was also more progressive compared with Europe, and it is still the case today in insurance and banking and in the entire financial system. In technology, we're good. But where are we failing? I mean, why are those countries taking the lead now? Why are those continents taking lead now? Now that we're much more advanced in financial technologies, why are we lagging behind? I mean, many differences we have, cultural differences we have, and this is actually a defining factor for all of us. And we're not necessarily Eastern, fully Eastern, and we're not Middle Easterns, and we're not Europeans, we're not Asians, and we cannot really decide where we belong to. We're standing at this dubious position. We're partially Europeans, we're partially Middle Eastern, and our weight shifts from time to time, and our position also changes itself. So we did not really put ourselves in a particular position. Our law is different. We don't have lacking rules. Turkey is a country abounding with rules. If you would bring in a British person, they would say, you don't have anything lacking, you have surplus. Our constitution, it's quite robust, but what's our problem? We're not implementing it, we're not enforcing it. And this is the biggest problem for us. In technologies, in fintech, we do not really hesitate from taking these kinds of strides, and we don't really have to abide by rules. It actually flows by itself, by its nature. And if there were rules, we would definitely not adhere to them, and we would be disabled somehow. And there is definitely a trend and inclination towards regulations, and maybe we need to put rules, but we need to enforce them, we need to implement them. But at least we're advanced when it comes to fintech and when it comes to technologies, and we should not really deteriorate at this point. And it does not mean that we need to leave the rules aside, and we have all seen that this particular domain is very much shaken to its cores when there is lack of confidence, when there is lack of inspections and audits. And this would definitely pave the way for fraud and other lacking morals and ethics. And we all witness it in our day-to-day lives. Therefore, we need to pay attention to rules, and we should not really underestimate them. Well, yes, there are many topics to be addressed here. There are many issues to be handled here, and they have started to be on a better path, that's for sure. Algorithms now are at play, and artificial intelligence is something that's a buzzword at the moment, and we don't really know where we're headed, particularly. And there are many people who closely monitor all these developments, maybe better than me. It can actually take different turns, and quite good turns. And I'm also utilizing AI. Looking at my age, do not really regard me as a dinosaur. My dear Orhan, colleague, we are belonging to the same generation, and we have been leveraging technologies, and we witnessed quite interesting things. I mean, we have very interesting backgrounds, and we are able to keep up with this technology and with this trend. Back in the 1970s, the computers were surfacing only recently, and as the public institutions, we were preparing the programs of public enterprises, and there were big machines and mechanisms. They were actually typewriters, and their containers were called chariots, and we were dealing with this. And then we did the fortification. We made sure that all the public debt was paid, and the central bank was also involved in the process. And the central bank president said, "You saved us from a big trouble. Wish anything and we'll do whatever you want." And we wanted to use computers because we already had one, and we asked the government to buy another computer for us, and they researched it. I don't really remember how it was, but it was probably 256 megabytes. I'm not even talking about gigabytes. I mean, this was the size of the computer. It was how it was, I mean, back in the years. And they went and they researched, and they told us there were better versions of IBM, 550 megabytes. But the only computer that we knew was the smaller size, and we decided to do our calculations with them. And IMF delegation paid a visit to us. Before that, the IMF delegation visited us, and we gave all our manually filled in tables to them. And IMF delegation and head of delegation would look at our tables. He would really scorn, and he would pass the table to the youngest member of the delegation because we were all doing that manually, and we had mistakes. We made mistakes. After we got the computer, we started making the calculations with the computer. I mean, we didn't really know how to calculate things. We didn't know how to give commands to the computer. We were still doing it manually, but we wrote it with the computer. So it was a printout of the computer, and the head of the delegation was then satisfied with the tables prepared by the computer. So this was the times that we experienced. And as I'm recounting my experiences, you would probably think like it's a story and it's a narrative. And Orhan knows me only, and I'm sharing this experience with him because we belong to the same generation, as I said. Here is a very simple thing that I'd like to share with you. I mean, I'm not definitely talking about fintech. I'm not going to sell ice creams to an ice cream seller already. So here is a simple story that I'd like to share with you. This has nothing to do with finance whatsoever, but I'm 75 years old, and for the past 3 quarters, all the developments and advancements that we've seen were so rapid that it definitely contained all the other advancements in the previous centuries. We had vinyl players when I was young. It is now quite a trend right now, and this is why you probably know that. And gramophones were also available in our households, and it was like a funnel. It was something that you would rewind with your hands. I didn't use it because I'm not that old, but it was at home. It was a nostalgia for us, nostalgia item. And then we had pickups, vinyl plays, record plays, and we would play that as well. And then tape recorders and players came out. You would probably know the pickups, I mean the record players, but you wouldn't really know the tape recorders, and you would actually put the bands and tapes around the wheels, and then it would play. During the time of the Yassıada investigations and hearings, because my father was a lawyer and he would go to the proceedings there after the coup, military coup, and my father would go there to use his record player to hear all the proceedings and hearings, and he would then go back his room and listen to that. So you could only record things from outside. You couldn't do it internally. And then cassette tape players came out. It was quite a huge invention for us. It was quite a minor thing, and Walkmans and iPods came out. They all followed each other, and we came to such an extent that mobile phones came out, and then this is where we are. A decade ago, when we went to trips, I had cameras, and I had other things in my hand that I carried. And now we only have our mobile phones with us, and it actually solves all the problems for us and fixes everything. So it's a huge technology revolution for us, and you are witnessing that. You are experiencing that. And where we're headed right now, how it's going to evolve, we don't really have many ideas about that. Because especially AI coming into play makes things quite more complicated. Such a big and rapid development takes us somewhere, and it's a different place. Turkey is quite an interesting country in all dimensions, in all aspects. Well, in economic terms, it is. In terms of inventions like this, it's quite an interesting place. Or the qualified workforce working in this country, or the unqualified workforce. There are quite significant problems that we're entangled with. And I mean, I don't know if we will ever solve these problems, because in the past 25 years I've seen that we have not really solved them, and I hope this wouldn't be the case for you. For example, inflation is something we have not been able to tackle. It's been years now, and we're not tackling the problem of inflation. Governments came after one another, bureaucracy changed, and it all changed, but we have not really tackled the problem of inflation, and we don't really have this capacity. That's quite interesting. And when we live like this, we tend to think that it's not a problem. So now, if you asked me if there were crises, people would say, no, there is no crisis whatsoever. We only think about the crisis in 2001 when there were massive layoffs. But the country boasts great potential, very qualified workforce. It has great potential, right? And especially fintech people could at least seize this potential, and it's quite clear to follow that. I state that in all the speeches, and I conclude all my remarks like that. I'm a bit fed up with that, but Turkey has to deal with its legal system, and unless we establish the rule of law, it won't be possible for us to fix these problems, no matter what we do. We need to treat everyone equally. We need to execute these rules for everyone in an equal footing. It would not be possible if we don't do that to attract foreign investors, and we cannot even get the buy-in of local investors if we don't fix this issue around the rule of law, the independence, impartiality, equality, fairness of law. We need to guarantee that. We need to secure that. If we do that, we will have a better functioning democracy. We will have people taking a deep breath. We'll be able to take our liberties in expressing our ideas. We're not actually expressing our ideas because we feel hesitant about that, and there is great deterioration in the world. I need to say that as well. I mean, many countries that we take a reference point are deteriorating. They're in a bad shape. The United States, I spent 6 years in the United States. A person like Trump coming to the office and delivering remarks like that, I would not even believe it, even in my dreams, because this man, he is warning about the owners of companies. I mean, is that really possible to degrade certain company owners for presidents of huge nations? It does not make any sense. And there's this great saying, you probably know it, we were to become a small America, but America became small Turkey. This is quite interesting. And when an event like that occurs in the West, all the system that we took as a reference point started to tremble. And there is still law, and the system has maintained itself, and it's struggling to protect itself. But unfortunately, we don't have this in Turkey, and it's not really in a good shape right now. The system is unable to protect itself. And when I look at it, we are in a country grappling with severe problems. And in the face of all these issues, all these matters, our financial industry and our technology infrastructure is shining like a star. And we should really maintain that. We should really preserve that. Otherwise, we'll lose everything. Maybe we can preserve it and we can hand it over to the future generations. And we need to establish the infrastructure for that. And for that reason, I believe that younger generations have a vital role to play here, and I hope you will leverage all the opportunities in front of you. And if you make good use of AI and other technologies, you'll be successful. And one thing I'd like to say, I'm not really used to delivering short speeches. Mostly, I take abundant time in explaining economy to the audiences. ChatGPT is quite an important and notable development. And before I came here, I asked people what I need to talk about. And the answer that I get did not make any sense to me. So here is my speech for you. But one other question that I asked to the organizers of this event, for example, I'm planning to write a novel about the financial crimes in Turkey. I wrote a novel already, and it's not really written by ChatGPT. And I asked ChatGPT what kind of novel I should write, and it actually created a 5-page outline of the novel that I could write. So we need to be very careful, and there is a good essence, the substance is good here, and you represent it in different areas. Banking is one of them, and you could be coming from a technology background, and please preserve it and please disseminate it. Please roll it out across the entire system. If we fail at that, we will have a future that's not going to be any better for you. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a great day ahead.